body panel, your suspension bolts to the subframe and all the inner structure. It doesn't even touch those outer panels, actually. It's all underneath. So I'm just trying to decipher if we've got 1, 2, 3, like what exactly we've got going on here, right? All right, so let's see. You tell me when you're here.
Mostly the steering wheel's just gotten very loose and sloppy. Sometimes you notice there's a creaking noise that can be heard from right where your like left knee is. This car used to drive very responsibly, very smooth like butter, and as you can tell, it's not really driving smooth like butter.
I don't feel anything wrong with it, actually. This thing feels like it's driving great.
That steering is very loose and sloppy, though. Very loose and sloppy.
I don't feel anything
It
loose.
used to be very responsive. If you get on this road right here, I mean, the rockiness of that road is really awful.
Yeah. Now, the only thing I can say is this, and I mean, this isn't me trying to be ugly, but you got 90,000 miles on the car. Suspension is going to drive different, and it will get a little bit looser.
Right.
As you drive the car, I mean, the bushings and the rubber and things, those things wear a little bit. So it's going to have a little bit of play compared to what you're used to. Now, if they go in and put new stuff on, because all those rubbers and those gaskets and the seals and everything, all the bushings are then tight and brand new, that might be what you're feeling, but I mean, I don't feel anything that feels abnormal for this vehicle at all.
That's what I was thinking, bushings, but you know, the part I was confused by is the dealership, they refused to put on struts. They said the struts might be compromised, but they refused to put on struts. They said this is a body issue, we're not touching it.
Yeah,
they said the suspension mounting points have moved and shifted. They said we can put new struts on, but they will break as soon as we put them on because this is a body issue. AAA also noticed, they said this is a body issue, this is not a mechanical issue.
So have you taken it to a dealership?
AutoNation Columbia. That's the dealership for Hyundai.
Okay.
That's the one who said this suspension.
And what did they tell you?
They said they suspect that suspension mounting points have shifted, and they suspect that...
Perfect. They suspect, so they have no idea. They're just going off of some crap because you.
They said they didn't want to touch it because it was not a mechanical issue, it was a body issue.
Yeah. They just don't want to get into it because they don't know what they're doing. Yeah, I don't. I mean, I love how dealerships. I'm just saying this because I hate that you're going through the runaround. But I deal with this with dealerships all the time. They're very quick as soon as they know a vehicle's in an accident. Oh, we don't want to touch it. Just because they don't want to get involved in anything. They don't like to fix anything that's not easy. If it's not an oil change, they don't want to do it anymore. I mean, all these dealerships are like that. But I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I feel absolutely like this thing drives freaking good for a 90,000 mile vehicle.
Understandably, but you don't drive this car every day, I suppose. I mean, you don't really understand how it's, it's shifted over time. Over the last year, I mean, when I drive this car every day, it gets worse. Every day.
Well, keep in mind, it's going to. Because you're putting mileage on the car, you're putting wear and tear on a vehicle. Every time you drive it.
But this fast exponentially, like day by day, like each day gets worse, each day. And I find it strange that two places said that it's body issue, it's not,
I mean, I don't feel anything wrong with the car. I don't even know what I would be looking at.
And I find it strange too, like the first, the body shop, the original body shop, when I said, can I have my car inspected, is it safe to drive? They said, get the fuck off the lot. They said, you're banned from the lot. And I said, so it's not safe to drive, and they banned me from the premises. I'm banned from the First Row Hudson's location.
I mean, to be honest, I would have driven this and I would have told you, I feel absolutely nothing. Now, once again, you do know your car better, but I feel nothing where this vehicle is unsafe, nothing that there's things absolutely worn out on this car. Now, like I said, replacing some of those suspension, because I mean, it is at 100,000 miles. Like, I'm sorry, that's high mileage for cars. It is. And most suspension parts, the bushings and things are going to be recommended, just like, I'm trying to think, like spark plugs and stuff, right? Even though you don't have an old car, after a certain amount of miles, they expect them to be replaced to wear and tear. But I don't know why they would tell you bodies. I don't see anything wrong with, I mean, I don't even feel anything wrong with this. Like, at all. There's no clicking, there's no, I mean, it's very responsive.
Oh, there's clicking for sure, yeah. If you roll on the windows occasionally, it's intermittent. Right now, it's not been clicking, but sometimes when you're driving on the road straight, I hear clicking noise. And sometimes it's gone, sometimes it's there. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not.
Now,
there's also the rough starts. Sometimes the car doesn't start up anymore. It was a rough start. And you should never do that. And my only sort of and I'm not great at cars, and I'm trying to learn everything, trying to explain the best I can. Mm-hmm. But all I know is that before that, my car was at that original body shop. I drove for 3 weeks after the collision, drove perfectly fine. The day it came back from the body shop, it drove like complete shit. And I said, hey, can I please get the re-inspected? I called State Farm. State Farm called the original body shop. Original body shop declined the call, hung up. State Farm said that's a first. So then I finally got the owner involved of a different location, and then he's the one who said, you're banned from the premises. I said, is my car safe to drive? He said, get the F off the lot, you're banned, don't ever come back here again.
So yeah, I don't know, but I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't feel anything I would be concerned with at all. And I mean, I've driven thousands of cars. Even with this high amount, there's nothing in this car. Like, I mean, it's very responsive. I don't see where the steering is loose at all. I mean, I barely wiggle the wheel and the car is moving. Might be a little bit more than what you're used to, you know, but I don't see anything where there's something that needs to be done with this car that this car is unsafe at all. I mean, if this were my car, I'd be more than satisfied and happy with the way it's driving. I don't see anything wrong with it.
Yeah, well, this is not how you should drive at all. You should drive very smooth. Like, you would not feel any of these bumps on the road.
Right, but, you know, once again,
I've only put 1,000 miles on.
It's a 100,000-mile car.
I've only
so
put 1,000 miles on, for instance, in the bike shop. I've been so
but I'm saying, but when you got the car, it didn't have 100,000 miles on it. So you're comparing a car that's not driving.
I'm comparing a car that was from 89,000 miles to 9,000 miles. Within 1,000 miles, you're saying it's gotten that much worse? No, that's not possible.
So you bought it at 89,000 miles?
I bought it at 79,000, but the accident was 89,000, and it drove perfectly fine then. And then from 80,000 miles right after the body shop, completely terrible. And I just think it's just interesting that the reaction from the body shop was so stern. That's got to be something. Because why would you tell a customer get the F off the lot when I'm saying, is my car safe to drive?
Yeah, I have no idea about that situation. I don't want to, I mean, I don't know. I can't speak on it. But what I can tell you is I've been in this industry 25 years. I know I still look young. I feel absolutely nothing wrong with this car. Okay. I really don't.
So I guess how can you explain, the alignment's going all over the place like this? I mean, we've got camber going from -1 to 0.45 all over.
What I can tell you is this. I can drive off this lot, do an alignment, literally drive down the interstate and your alignment will be off. You can hit a pothole and our roads are awful in South Carolina, your alignment will be off. Now the other thing is, depending on also what road you're driving on, there's a crown to every single road. You cannot check your alignment by letting off your hands on the steering wheel. The car should never drive straight when you let your hand off the steering wheel, because there's a crown on the road. It's to drift the water. So your car should always drift either right or left. Now if your alignment is actually being off, once again, I can't tell you why, but I can tell you the reason alignment isn't warranted is because you can drive over my speed bump back there too fast and it will knock your alignment off. Right. Cars are affected that way. Like, your suspension is so iffy with wear and tear. I mean, as awful as our roads are, I've got a brand new Tesla. I literally had to do an alignment. I've owned it for a month because I'm hitting these potholes in this road, and our roads suck. So that could be part of it. You know, I'm not here to tell you yes or no, but what I can do is explain to you why your alignments are affected. Is any driving you're doing, if you're hitting any types of potholes or anything, technically your alignment can be being knocked off every time.
Right. I guess, how do you explain also the TSB saying that no welding is allowed in the area, and yet welding was done?
I have no idea what they're talking about, and I see all factory welds underneath there. I don't see any welds. So the fender bolts to those panels.
The fender mount reinforcement, I understand, yes.
But I mean, I have no idea why they would tell you that this whole car is welded together. How can the car not be welded?
When they're doing repairs, they say section replace, and they have over here, and we have in here, we've repaired the apron and replaced the apron reinforcement. And so they use high heat welding. It says do not use high heat welding on this area. It says you should replace it in sections and not do welding. And so what I assume they did is they pulled out the section instead of replacing it.
So no, so this is in an apron reinforcement. That is not your welded on apron. That's a bolted on panel right here. This is a reinforcement.
So we have welder primer though.
Correct. That's for other areas on the car that we probably have welded. So there's an aperture panel that had some repairs to it.
But that's, I guess,
an aperture bracket, another aperture bracket. So there was welding done in the car at some point, but that doesn't mean the apron was.
Right, so there's welding done, but I guess...
Yeah, there was cavity wax applied because there's areas that needed to be welding. For anybody to make a statement that this car is not welded on, that is absolutely incorrect.
If you look at the Hyundai CSP, it says do not use high heat welding in this areas for repairs. It goes against ICAR standards.
So we monitor the heat of the weld. We have what we call spot welders.
But is that confirmed? Can we confirm the original shop did that? We don't. I mean, I
don't know that I can confirm that with. I mean, we would have to ask them, but I know that that's how. You know, those are the welders that we have on location here. Is a spot welder. Now, with that being said, all vehicles have a little different. You know, sometimes on these vehicles, when we weld, we have to remove the airbags and certain things. There are certain procedures, but I can tell you right now, this car can absolutely be welded on. Period. I've worked on many of these. They have to be welded on. You couldn't put a quarter panel or a frame rail on it if you can't weld to it. Let me just kind of make sense of this. Let's see here. Reinforcement, hood.
And I bet that R&I condenser highlighted because that condenser, it also, the second it came back, this on high speed was growling. It's not growling anymore, but I found that quite strange. That also they were working in this area too. I just thought the whole behavior of the original shop was very suspect. I asked questions. I said, you know, I asked questions about the supplements. They said, don't ask any more questions, you're not allowed to. I said, why is the work being done in the back of my vehicle? They said, we're not padding a bill, just shut up. They just want to get up the FL up a lot, as you know. They actually, I mean, this location actually harassed me. This location said, get your car off my lot by 5 p.m. I'm going to charge you storage fines, and refuse to test drive it. And I don't know, I'm not trying to be hostile, I'm just trying to get my car to understand like why it's being the way it is. And I've tried everything I can, and I'm just like a person who, I don't understand cars that well. I'm just like, this is just my car, this is my property, and I just feel like it's been, I took it to a place that I thought was a good location, and I was treated like complete shit. Complete shit. I mean, it's not. I don't think that the repairs are done to industry standard. I find it just quite suspect that why would you tell a customer to get the F off the lot?
And once again, I can't speak for all that. That would never happen under my watch. The insurance company that paid for the repairs, have you had them involved?
Yeah, they've completely gone hands off. They said we're closing it out.
So what I would tell you is what that means is your car was fixed properly. They will not close a claim. They will look at a car. They will make sure that they're not getting into a lawsuit if it is not. They will not stand behind that repair. They will make us bring the car back in, okay? If they have actually looked at your car and they're closing the claim, what they are telling you, and I don't mean this in an ugly way, but what they're telling you is you are being unreasonable. The car is fixed right. They're reassuring it's fixed right, but you can't get that out of your mind. That's what, in a way, they're trying to tell you. They're telling you, look, we went out and looked at this car. This is absolutely done to the industry standard. Any other customer would be satisfied with this repair. You're not. We cannot satisfy you. The car is safe, so we are now done. That's, without me being hands-on, that's what it sounds like. I've been in this for a while, and that's what it sounds like. So that's why I was asking you if the insurance, because the only other thing that I always recommend is, hey, if a customer is unsure, the insurance is not going to side with me. The insurance company is going to side with however they can ensure that your car is safe, because later on if something happens, that's who's responsible, right, for your life. So if they have gone in and they've looked at these things, or we've brought them involved, and they say, hey, look, we've looked at these things and these are industry standard, these are satisfied, and they're signing off on that, really that's your liability. That's your, if anything else ever comes up, if this car is actually not safe and something comes up, it will come back on them. But this is also them kind of this is kind of their statement to reassure you, hey, we have looked at the car and we understand you're unsure, but also you don't do this, and this is your first accident, and right, we do this for a living, we know what we're looking at, and we are standing behind that this was done correctly. That's where I think we might be at right now. Obviously, with me not coming in at the very beginning, I'm not positive. But if you've already gotten the insurance, because that would have been my recommendation. Hey, if you still think it's not right, have them come look at it. Have them see what they say, because ultimately it's their stance, right?
So are you saying, you're saying both of these locations right here, there's mechanics, they're just saying this because they're scared to work on the car of liability. That it's probably just a suspension issue, and that they're just saying that it needs to go to a body shop because they're hands off.
Can I tell you what they're probably doing with this?
Sure.
I'm just going to be honest with you. You've got complaints that nobody can fix for you right now.
Until it breaks.
They don't want to get involved.
Okay.
Literally. They're going, this guy has all these complaints and I can't fix it. I'm not touching this car. He needs to go back to the body shop because we're not going to be able to satisfy him either. That's exactly why they're doing that. And I don't mean to be ugly, but they're going, I'm not getting involved with a guy that already isn't happy with somebody else. They need to take this shit on.
So I should wait till something breaks, and then we'll know what's going on then.
That's and to be honest, I don't think that's going to happen. But yes, if something ends up going wrong, not just in your mind and you hearing things, right, but something actually goes wrong, then yes, you bring that to us. We have track of everything. But as of right now, with what I'm seeing and just with what I'm hearing and knowing that the insurance companies looked at it, is that they're saying, look, we've looked at this. It is, and I don't mean this in an ugly way because I've been in accidents too. In our mind, this car is always in an accident. It's always going to be different than what it was. They're looking at it and going, look, we have reassured that the work that we paid for the body shop to do is done correctly, and it is done to what we paid for. The customer at this time should be satisfied. We're not doing anything more. Now, yes, if for some reason something comes up and something goes bad, that doesn't stand under the same standard as we're talking about now, right? Because right now I couldn't go to them and say, hey, this part is broken, it needs fixed. But later on, if that would happen, then I've actually got something concrete to bring to their attention and say, hey, look, I do have Mr. Gibbons back here. I originally rode with him. Yes, there wasn't, but now and we actually have something concrete to bring to your attention, right? Okay. Right now, unfortunately, it's you saying it's not right. It's us saying, hey, we driven it. It's the insurance company looking at it, but there's nothing to really stand out that says, oh, there's absolutely something not right. right? It's been in an accident. It's a little bit higher mileage. I'm sure probably while you were driving this, you had a rental car. Did you have a rental car?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So then, we drive those for what, 3 or 4 weeks. Believe it or not, all those rental cars drive a little bit different, sound a little bit different too. So then we get in our vehicle, and our vehicle feels a little different too. But I would say, and this isn't not just me, I'm not just trying to shove you down the road. I honestly don't feel anything driving this car or looking at it out there that I would be concerned with. Now, if something falls off or you continue to drive and now all of a sudden that thing's clicking all the time,
it happens pretty often.
Something like
pretty
that.
Often clicking.
But I hear absolutely nothing right now. Now, one thing I will tell you is this: be careful, because if you pick up a pebble in your rock in your tire, and it's in that tread, and you're driving slow, every time that tire goes over, you'll hear this. My wife had one in her wheel the other day. I thought she had a nail in it, because that's normally the sign of a nail in your tire. And I literally pulled the freaking rock out, and the sound was gone.
Okay.
So sometimes if it picks up a little something, like almost like a piece of tape too on the tire, if you're going slow enough, you'll actually hear it.
So I guess, can you explain how the car, when I'm turning the car on, it doesn't sometimes it struggles to turn on now. I used to never do that before.
I mean, without it doing it for me.
This is the most maddening part of it. It's intermittent. It's the worst part.
Now, do you notice, is it more like in the mornings? Is it any time during the day? Is it after maybe the vehicle's been sitting a little bit longer? Do you have any idea of maybe pinpointing when it's happening more?
Honestly, I'm so scared to drive this car anymore that I barely drive the car, so I don't have a really good baseline of time frame. But sometimes it'll struggle to turn on. It's like it doesn't turn on as much as it used to. It sounds like there's like weak power almost.
So maybe keep an eye on it, because what I do know, and once again, I don't know your car, I'm just going off of cars in general, right? Normally when a car in general sits over time, sometimes what happens, like I'll get in my wife's and she'll crank it and it'll say her antifreeze is actually too cold, like her fluid's too cold. Once it heats up, that light goes off. So there's certain things at the very beginning when we're cranking a car in the morning that sometimes these cars go through. Now, one thing I would ask you is when you crank it, put it in the on position for a second, and then crank it, because sometimes that's that initial connection firing up all that electric to it. And I would just say, look, if it starts happening more often, come up here and try to duplicate it with me, because unfortunately without it happening, there's not a whole lot that I can tell you it could be, right? I mean, there's no lights up here that are saying, hey, you're having a draw, anything like that. But later on, if it happens, and it happens while it's here, I can maybe hook up the computer and it might tell me, hey, yes, this just happened and this is why, right? But without it having kind of those codes in there present, it's not going to tell me when I pull it up.
The only code I've been able to pull is the catalytic converter bank. There's a so the catalytic converter is like, I guess there's a I think it's a fuel inefficiency bank or something. And
see it probably O2 sensor.
Yeah, O2 sensor, and there's a exhaust leak that's present that wasn't there before. Which I don't know. But also the thing that I don't understand, that I guess the biggest clarity I'm trying to get is there were parts that were billed to State Farm that were missing from my car. Like, for example, the intake box was billed to State Farm and it was completely gone from the car, just completely missing. So the body shop, it makes me wonder if that wasn't reinstalled correctly, what else wasn't reinstalled correctly? So I don't know if it's possible for you to get pictures before of the work that was done while the car was at the shop in your system. I've requested that. I was then promptly dismissed. I was ghosted. But I think that would be helpful in understanding what happened during the procedure, because if this is missing, what else is missing?
Yeah, I don't know. I can see if they can send me. I don't have access to any of their file. They had to email me over the information so that I had an idea of what they did.
I'm surprised they did that.
Because and unfortunately, also in the meantime, we've changed from Joe Hudson to Gerber, so some of those files are. Let me see if I can get that stuff. But what I would say to you, Mr. Gibbons, and this, once again, my goal is to make sure you are safe. Okay, I don't care what else has happened since. I mean, I do, but I don't.
Right.
My goal is to try to make sure that you are safe. Basically, what I told them is, look, I want to get the customer to come by. I want to get in the car. I want to look at the car. I can't say anything unless I personally have looked at it, right? Honestly. I don't see anything right now, especially no other dash lights with what I've driven, for you to be concerned to where you don't feel safe driving this car. I'll be honest with you. I see no reason that you should feel unsafe. Now, I understand with this why you're unsafe, right? I'm not saying that. But with what I'm driving and feeling in here, I'm telling you right now, there is nothing that I hear, that I feel, that would at all say, yo, dude, do not drive this car. And I would absolutely tell you that, okay? I would actually not let you leave this parking lot if I felt that there was something. Now, what I would probably do is continue to drive it and see if you can pinpoint the cranking issue, or maybe more often when you're hearing that noise. Okay, double check too when you hear that noise, that if you're hearing it more profound, if you hear it more when you're going slower, like is it louder? Not necessarily more frequent, but louder when you're going slower. If so, check to make sure it's not something in that tread, right? Because I would hate for that to be causing you to be concerned of something and it actually be something that minimal that's making that noise.
Right.
When you can pinpoint a little bit better the crank issue and the drivability issue, if I can get it duplicated while I'm here, I can maybe help take that a little bit further, right? But what I can tell you is with what I see here, and I'll look into getting pictures, but I don't see where you should be concerned at all. As far as the drivability, my recommendation to you would be this, and I hate to even say this, but if this is something that continues to bother you and something that, you know, the shops are reassuring you is right, but you feel like it is not, the best thing you could do is get rid of the car and get a new one.
Right.
I hate to say that,
No,
because you don't want to do that. But I've had people that where it's like, look, at this point, you know, we can't take out of your mind that there's nothing else wrong with this car, right? And as long as you drive this car, that may still be in your mind, right? And I'm not just saying that to you. I've had it with where it's just like, you know, for me, if I was in an accident of an extensive vehicle, right, and I hate to say it, I'm in this business, but I would probably tell my wife, let's just go ahead and get rid of it and get a new car so we don't have to have that in our mind. Now, cars are fixed a lot better nowadays, but I know in her mind, that car would still be in an accident, and my wife, any freaking noise that we heard, she'd be saying, it needs to go back to the body shop. It needs to go, because she just is not unfamiliar with it, right? Mm-hmm. And then I'd be saying, babe, that's not a body shop deal, that's a this. But I would say that's one thing, you know, you hate to say that, but if it's something that everybody else is kind of saying, hey, look, we don't see anything wrong, we feel that everything is right, the best thing to do at that point would be to get yourself out of it and get something that you know you feel better
Of course,
about.
financially that's not possible at the moment, so
Right,
trying to, that's why we're going to go these avenues. I guess it would be possible for you, you know, if you're this confident that the vehicle is safe, it's current condition, to get that in writing, get that statement, you know, writing.
I mean, what I would put in writing, because I didn't do the work, is that I have visually inspected and driven your car.
That's perfect.
I see absolutely nothing at this time that would require the vehicle to be safe or shows incorrect or outstanding work that needs to be completed.
That would be reassuring, yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely. Yeah, let's do that.
And I just you know, because I love Gerber, I love y'all. I mean, it's just like the original body shop that Joe Hudson.
I hate that you have gone through that. That's I will say, you know, I just started here about a month ago, but I ran a region. I oversaw 9 centers in Columbia here for a competing body shop, and I can tell you that would never happen at any of my centers. That's extremely. I understand even if there was a point where you and I weren't reaching an agreement, and I had to kindly just say, hey, look, we need to part ways. But the way that it sounds that you were treated, the way it escalated, is not the way at all I would do business.
Yeah. I was told they were not required to fix my car to a safe condition, only to a cosmetic one. Is it anything that was related to mechanics or safety was not their problem? So they discovered like a vent strut or anything broken that they didn't have to fix it, that they should do anything body.
Yeah, that's
and
crazy.
So you know that location, or that was specific location on Valentine. I mean, I would just take a special look at the location for your brand awareness. You know.
Yeah.
I've had 3 of my friends say their car got ruined there.
I'll have to look. Yeah, I don't know those guys too. Once again, I've only been here a month. I'm sure I'll figure it out. I'll tell you what. If you want, why don't you jump over here? You don't have to come back in. Let me go ahead and put that in writing real quick, and I'll bring it out to you.
Perfect.
Okay.
It, man. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. No problem. No problem. Name on there correctly.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to make sure I got that information on there.
Go for it.
Correctly. And I'll bring this right back out there.
Claude, that did not go well at all. That it went very badly. They said that there's nothing wrong with the car, and they said that it was the dealership in AAA saying that when you goes to a buy shop, it's just a liability issue. And they're giving me a statement in writing right now saying that the vehicle's safe to drive. But they said you probably should just trade in if you're having this many issues with it. They said it's totally fine. extra longer than I thought it would. Perfect, appreciate it, man.
I just put it in email form right here. Basically, like I was sending it to somebody where you had come by, I had driven it. I don't see anything wrong with it at all right now. I feel like it's normal for the 90. But if there's something else later on, you know, just come back.
Perfect, I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right, yeah, man. Have a good one, okay?
Likewise.
Giving you their honest, independent view. A few things. Know what's in that folder that you handed over? Did it include the Taylor report, Jim Hudson's opinion, or your inspection checklist? If so, they've now seen your strongest card for writing yes. When you get the statement, read it closely for hedging language, no visible signs of at time of inspection. To the best of our assessment, versus a flat, this vehicle is safe to drive. Vague hedges are very different from a clean claim, and are often written specifically to be defensible later, without actually saying it. Don't hand over anything else from that folder unless they ask for something specific and reasonable, like your name spelling. Do you remember what exactly was in the folder they looked at?